Hi guys, my name is Sabir Singh Jain, and today we have a sort of focused discussion on how entrepreneurs should handle the situation. Uh, it's very complicated situation where we are in. We in India we already have a slowing economy, which was sort of creating pain points out here. Then we had this challenge of Corona, and obviously it has got accelerated to the extent where we see almost everything stopping or at least slowing down as we see. Most of us are working from home, and therefore this setup itself is work from home. There's no other possibility we can do it. So you have to sort of be at this environment. I'm in my home and recording myself, which obviously I wanted to do it differently, but that's where the situation is. To add more challenges, obviously, the if you look at because of the oil price change, there was a havoc out there. The further thing, yes, bank failure created further challenge. So I think there's every possibility of, or maybe as you call, too many black swan events, right? Just one is enough to sort of change the impact and change the environment. Now we have had so many of them. Now, how do you go through this journey, and which are the segments which are impacted? Now, I think first thing first, if you have to handle situation, I think we have to look at first conserve capital. I think that's a basic of what I can think of wherever possible. Use it more judiciously than you were doing earlier. There were possibilities of spending extra money or taking extra bet. Be careful about it. I'm not saying don't do it, but be more careful. Have more discussions around that, because if you spend too much of money right now on some activities, it might just not give you results. So I think be more careful with the whole thought process of spending too much money wherever you are thinking. Even if you had a budget, many of us had done our budget. We did our budget actually way back in December, January, and we are reworking on it right now. Some of the activities we are doing right now are completely changed in line with the environment, and it's bound to happen. Given that we are a nimble organization, smaller organization, maybe the impacts are not very high, and we may still be able to sort of come out much better on the other side. But when you're large, obviously challenges are much more, which I'm sure many of the entities raise a lot of funds, have some steep targets to do. They must be facing. But I'm still saying conserve capital. Be careful of with respect to hiring. Many of you would have already started hiring, or you are hiring in the process of hiring. I think my only request to you is that wherever possible, avoid extra hiring where you can conserve capital. Of course, wherever you have made commitments, I would really request you to do it. But wherever possible, additional headcounts, I think you need to avoid for a few months. What you should look at is where do you have an option of doing outsourcing versus insourcing? How do you get a variable cost? For example, if you are right now in a larger space, in a co-working space, trying to conserve, come down, ensure that as people work from home, maybe reduce the size of business for some time, for sure, as the impacts get analyzed. In terms of ensuring that your team is motivated, I think my only request is we are all learning to use Asana. We are all learning to use all possible tools. I think my personal feeling right now, I think a lot of things can happen much better, and I'm seeing them that improve a lot in multiple areas. So ensure that you work closely with your team. They are aware of it, so they should not they should not feel the difference of it. So engagement with the employees is important, because they may be feeling very, very down because they're sitting at home. Engage as a founder. My request to you, please engage with your team. If possible, can you help them in while they're going through stress? If wherever you possible, you can help them. But you can also ensure that those employees are also enriching themselves with new courses, new activities, new skills. Because when you go on the other side, the things will be very, very different. Some of the roles for sure will go off as the digitization will increase because of this impact on the ecosystem. So we spoke about conserving capital. We spoke about being careful about with respect to hiring. We spoke about sort of managing the the employees differently, engaging deeply, because you can't see them, but they still need your touch as a founder. Moving to other areas, I think in terms of digitization or a fintech movement, I think this is going to be much bigger than what happened during demonetization, where only in India you had impact on the cash side. The cash was removed. Here is a situation where people are not literally not allowed to move out. It's a scenario where products have to be bought online. Deliveries are going to be difficult because those are also humans. They're also moving on road, but those also will be impacted, right? So how do you ensure that all your processes wherever possible have to be digitized. I know that many entities will have tough time onboarding customers because some of the journeys were manual by nature, human by nature. Wherever possible, documentation was involved. So as the world learns to come out of this journey, almost all possible back office roles will get impacted, because in this journey people will know how, if you were to digitize your business, you will improve. Okay, so that's my take off on it. My request to you is that relook at your processes, relook at your model, and ensure that each place where is a possibility of digitization, do that. Even from a business model perspective, a lot of things change, right? I mean, I'll give you honestly, from our perspective, a lot of activities we were doing were all physical by nature. We have moved some of them digitally now. We are heavily into consulting, so we are doing consulting over videos. I think Zoom is a great tool, and we are all using like anything. We are in terms of sort of consulting over call. We are taking consulting assignments just on calls, because many customers may want just direction, may not be able to do the whole piece, may not be able to do the whole consulting, they may want piece of it. So we are working with them right now. In terms of partnership, many of partners will not be able to travel. So we are right now working closely with them to ensure that their access to India, we can help them wherever possible. We are working closely on some of the new deals we are getting through. And I believe that while physical is always great, but digitally also we will be able to build partnership between fintech and technology companies, because which is the need of the hour. We are working very closely between fintech and technology companies. I will be honest that when we had this bank failure, we as a group in India, we worked closely to ensure that the banks worked very closely with fintechs to ensure that impact was low. So I think we can work on that. There was no physical meeting actually, but we could still do it. I think in India, I think maybe with the whole group, and I will not take credit for it. A lot of group members actually work together, and we could sort of move almost hundreds of the startups to newer banks. So we know that physical meetings are not even required. Sometimes your connection and getting the right guys on board is good. Partnership is still on. If you're looking at, that's what we have tried to do. And our trainings, which is fintech masterclass and open mic masterclasses, have been doing amazingly well. We should train on a lot of organizations as well in India. However, I'll be honest, we've always been physical by nature in terms of training. We always thought it communicates far better, because typically we have an entrepreneur in front of us, or maybe a CXO, and we wanted to ensure that face-to-face will always work better. We are changing that model right now. All our sessions are going digital. So what we are doing is we are launching our own sort of fintech introductory course, which is a shorter version, 6 hours, which is starting on 4th of April. We are also working on a long-term course on a certification side, which is fully digital. We were doing the 6 months course with the initial session face-to-face, and then end with the face-to-face session. Now we are removing the face-to-face session. We are going fully digital on that. That's our anchor program. We are also starting our engagement with you, with each one of you, through our news channels, newsletters, which was never done despite requests. So we have a large, rich set of customers looking for information from us. So newsletters is kicking off tomorrow. We are also kicking off our YouTube channel, which has been sort of I'm sorry, but I have not done it well at all. So we are working on it. That should come up well. So a lot of work which we will do. I think we are changing our model in line with the times, and we will closely work with the ecosystem so that the impact is sort of whatever possible, wherever possible, we can reduce. I think in this journey, I think we are all together. Wherever you think we can be of some help, reach out to us. Hope everything goes well and we sort of come back to normal very soon. Stay blessed. Thank you.